YouTube,
YouTube.
welcome to our channel, Immigrant Corner, where we talk about politics, current events, controversial topics,
And
sensitive
offensive
and offensive.
topics.
Yes, we'll try to keep it as offensive as possible. Just kidding. It might get to that point at one point. The topic could be offensive, but we'll try to keep it as PG as we can, so everybody can actually
Listen and
listen
share.
and share and subscribe. Yes, hit the bell button, subscribe, and share. We are going to talk about a cool topic, which is
Media, mass media, and propaganda.
propaganda. And this is actually my favorite topic because growing up, we actually both of us growing up, all we heard was propaganda. And holy
You have been
crap,
desensitized to it.
what? But holy crap, propaganda is such a well-oiled machine that it is so effective that you don't even realize that you are impacted by how much propaganda affects you, your life, and your decisions of your everyday decisions. So with that, we're gonna jump in. What is propaganda, my friend?
Well, I mean, propaganda in general is just a construction of construct of media organization or apparatus used by entities or a state in order to push a certain narratives and change public opinions in a way that they want. And in a sense is actually is like a psychological operation, right? So you might have people that they don't necessarily believe in certain things, but if you expose them in a way that to delude them, sometimes make them question their own views and stuff, right? Because that's very important, right? It's like you see in the commercials and stuff. Do I really need that? No, but it feels good to have this, all this, make you question your own judgment, right?
Yeah,
So
and
things like that. So that's how propaganda works. It's a
propaganda in general
psychological
word has been
operation on
used.
large number of people.
Propaganda in general terms has been used for centuries, centuries and centuries and centuries, and basically it works with the religion, it works with politics, it works with current day marketing, it works with
Education,
education,
ideology.
everything, everything that has an agenda has a propaganda segment to it. Now, my experience of good and bad propaganda. I'll start with the bad one because I think that's the that's the best one to start off with. So propaganda. How does it affect you as a person? How does it affect people around you? And how a free thinker is somebody that's not really easily intimidated or motivated by just sound bites, because propaganda uses a lot of sound bites, and in current time with all this technology, with all open source material, all these YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, not MySpace anymore, but so what they do is there's a lot of little sound bites that get dropped when they do their advertising, when they want to push an agenda, when they want to, there's a proposition coming up in certain states that they want you to pass, or whoever that wants it to be passed. The elections, holy crap, religion, everything. So me growing up in Iran, we heard propaganda all day. Walking in the street, we saw propaganda. On the radio station,
Yeah,
propaganda.
pictures of
TV,
the
propaganda. What
super
do they
leader and all that.
right? What do they
Yes.
use? They use Death to America. Then they use images that kind of persuades you of how evil the Western society is and how peaceful or Iran is, or Iran was, or whatever you want to say. I don't even know if they're peaceful anymore.
Because
But
you have no opposing point of view.
exactly.
That's
And
the thing.
if you oppose that propaganda, you are a traitor. Okay. Religion. How do they use propaganda in religion? Every religion has their own segment or their own way of portraying how great the religion is. and I don't want to get into the religion war and all that stuff, but this is just how propaganda functions. Now, coming to the States 25 plus years ago, I didn't really, think about the propaganda factor of it because that kind of, I put that in the back of my head and as put it as my past. So basically, I was looking forward to my future of how I want to make my life easier because now I don't have to focus on all the crap that was being fed to me growing up as a child. All the negative stuff. Death to this and death to that. And, everyone's against me. Now I'm in a free country that no one's gonna say anything to me. No one's gonna try to persuade me, to think differently. Which which brings us to now. We are both adults now. We have a family.
Recent adults.
Recent
Just
adults,
turned
yeah.
18.
Yeah, I just turned 21. I can drink now.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but realistically is now we have a better understanding how everything works around us because up until now I was more focused on my career. I was more focused on raising my kids, having a bigger family, having a better life for myself. I always try to have a better life than my parents did because they migrate here, so they start from zero. So we start from zero with them, but now we have more opportunities here to have a better life and try to pass that to my kids. So up until recently, which I would say about 11 years ago, it's when I moved from one state to another to start a new life. And it was, what was it, 2008? Yeah, 2008. And 2008 was election year. That's when Obama and Hillary were running to become president. And holy crap, I got so much flashback of the days I was in Iran when all we heard was propaganda, because all I started watching was negative ads against one another. They were running. Hillary and Obama were running
It's
negative.
not the same, but
It's not the same, but I mean, you get flashbacks. You like, they're talking crap about each other. They're throwing crap at each other. So I'm sure you had the same experience,
well,
but
my experience is like a little bit different. It's just I've always been a little bit more of a observer. A good example I can give is, so when I came to the States 20 years ago, went to college, and then my first kind of like an engagement with like a politics or paying attention. Obviously, we come from a tyrannical system, oppressed society that even they choose the candidates. What candidates actually can be a candidate? So it's not like, oh, you want to just run for an office, you can run for an office. Maybe for local offices that is unimportant, but if you want to just run for any kind of like a significant position and stuff, you have to be. They have like a guardians council like that. They actually chooses the qualification of the candidates, if they are loyal to the regime or not, that autocracy. If it's not, then obviously you can't run. So in a sense, it's actually open. Like I said, okay, we are not going to let you play this game if you are not part of us. So, so my first actual engagement was like in 2004. I started paying attention, Kerry Bush, and I remember the same garbage that they are doing every cycle. John Kerry was ahead like 18 points ahead, 15 points ahead here, 12 points ahead there.
60,000
I'm
points
just,
ahead.
is a lot of, Democrats, liberals in college campus and stuff, and I was working at college as a student. So I was just, hey, Democrat, democracy, duh, you don't need to think that much. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like a lot of name recognition, you know what I'm saying? I think they're very smart and all that. Republicans, they make a mistake. They are not good advertisers. Because if you look at it, actually they are the ones that they are true. This country is not a democracy, it's a republic.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be, let's say, a Republican running for office, I will never even mention democracy, because this is not a democracy. We are a representative republic, and I'm going to say, this is danger to our republic. I will never say this is danger to our democracy, because you are associating with that term, with that party, And low information voter, like I was 20 years ago, they say, oh, Democrats, democracy, that sounds like, match.
Yeah.
That's how actually they acquire a lot of things. People, they don't think about policies.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually who are actually conservative in their families and stuff, let's say new immigrants or even black folks and stuff, voting for Democrats for whatever reason, obviously big city, voters in big city, and that's where they dominate. And that's how they fall into it. But if you talk to them in person, they might be very conservative as far as the social structure, their family and values and stuff. They might be very conservative, but actually that identification, and that's where the power of propaganda and advertising and marketing comes.
Exactly, and most of the immigrant Democrats, they don't even know why they're Democrats. Realistically, because I grew up in California, and I thought I was a Democrat. Don't know why. It was just a thing.
It's just an association.
Yeah, it was guilt by association, basically. That's all it was. So it wasn't until I left California, because I just got tired of that place, and the more I stayed away, and I used to go back. I go back every year, but every time I go back, I come back with the same feeling that I don't want to go back, only because I see what it had turned into, and this is
absolute disaster.
It's a disaster,
Disgusting.
and this is where the power of propaganda plays a huge factor. So I tell you what propaganda is in a more simplest term. I'm gonna sing in your ear for 5 years that you are worthless. You are a waste of space, and you are no good to society. So take that for 5 years. Imagine somebody puts that in your ear for 5 years, and you as an individual are, let's just pick something. You are, I don't know, an electrician. You do a damn great job of wiring a house. You are just good at your job. But you have somebody constantly singing in your ear telling you you are worthless, you're crap, you're nothing, you're going to amount to nothing, you are garbage, you'll never be successful, blah, 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 blah. So on one hand, you are great at your job, then on the other hand, you have somebody telling you that you suck. You know what that does to you? You know what that does to your morale? Puts it on the floor. You no longer believe in yourself. You just lost every drive that you had to be a good person and be the best at what you do. Gone. Okay? Now let's take a second approach to this propaganda. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to go back to the 2016 election. Okay? Where constantly the media constantly said Hillary's winning. The polls said so. The polls are saying Hillary's winning.
Same thing. This year.
They did the same thing this year, but they kept saying polls are saying that she is up by 18 points. She is up by 10 points. Then then there was like a period of a week that they said, oh, it's a close race. It's very, very close. They're off by like 1 point. And all of a sudden that 1 point was gone. Then now she's leading again. And they said, oh, she's winning. That's it. It's over. She won. Election hasn't even happened yet, right? What happened in the election? Landslide. He won 306
to 227.
To 227, and she was gone. And everyone was like, what the hell happened? The polls said that she's winning.
Suppression is
right.
just on top of
Then, what happened this election year? Propaganda machine was at its full blast. Propaganda, and I mean the media. The bias in the media is where the propaganda happens. They start to believe their own lies, okay? They came out with the Russian collusion. They came out with the voter suppression.
I don't think
they
believe it necessarily. They know it's
well,
not
no.
true.
I mean, they know. I know. They know.
Intentional.
But what I'm saying is the propaganda that comes out of them makes you as a voter believe everything. Because all we heard was, Oh, Russia helped Trump.
No
Or
politician is perfect. Nobody is 100%.
no. We're not even talking about
Everybody has
the.
mistakes.
It's the problem
But
that
for the past 4 years, the negative coverage of this president has been 96% negative. You could be literally Jesus Christ if you had 96% negative news.
you're the biggest
24/7,
you'll be the biggest.
you wouldn't be that loved.
Exactly.
That's what I'm telling you. Like this is, in a sense,
they still at full blast.
in a sense, 96% negative news, and obviously it doesn't have the same effect because then when you keep lying, and you get caught and all that. Because propaganda is very effective when you don't have opposition. For example, if you go to China, is the Communist Party of China or Iran or authoritarian countries or Cuba, they got Fidel Castro up there. When you don't have no opposing views, right?
Yep.
Obviously, that's extremely powerful and extremely difficult to unbrainwash because if you have been brainwashed for 10, 15 years, 18 years, it's going to take you years to unbrainwash yourself or just understand how to undo the damage that's been done to your views and to yourself psychologically.
And that's how ISIS succeeded.
So this is, there's a big shift is happening, so I want to talk about that, the big shift. If you have been paying attention, the big shift, obviously, about the country, let's say if you just take past 20 years, you have had more of the population moving toward urban areas. Money is going over there. It seems like jobs and all that stuff. All the good things is happening in big cities and stuff. And then less and less work. All the manufacturing and old jobs and stuff shipped overseas. So you had decline of that. So you had the city centers. This is what I call it, like a mass media, mass communication model, right? So you had, for many decades, you had a few big corporations that owned everything, all the major TV, cable news, and all that stuff. So it doesn't matter what brand they put on it. It's like you're going and trying to choose a jelly bean. All are different colors, but it contain the same crap.
Jelly beans.
Jelly beans is the same corn syrup and starch and whatever.
Yep.
They are the same thing. So it can be different colors. It doesn't matter. All of them are jelly beans, the same content. So it doesn't matter if it's CNN, NBC, MSNBC, whatever. Now you go to the publications and stuff. All is pretty much because all of them are dominated in big cities. What Trump has done pretty much that broke that cycle, both financially and culturally. So now you're seeing a shift. People moving out of these big cities is happening, and then he took away that the money train. That they were sucking all this money from all the taxpayers going to big cities by boosting this like a crazy real estate market prices that had no validity at all, but then discount that, right? Deduct that from their state things, so the state actually get more federal money back.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's how somebody's just flipping burgers in Ohio, subsidizing the life standard of somebody who lives in Chicago. And then they're just virtue signaling everybody, oh, we are a good person, because they have no faith in nothing else. So they have to feel better about something that has nothing to do with nothing. Oh, I care about the planet, beat it. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's just a lot of virtue signaling. So that's all that structure. Now we are becoming more of a network communication society. And that's what's something that they're against and they can't control. And that's why you have all this massive censorship going on right now, right? Even we just started doing this, sharing our views with you. If we get any kind of traction and any kind of opinion gets all of a sudden goes viral and stuff, becomes somebody that they are seeing, oh, we are influencing some people, they must shadow ban that, restrict that or whatever, whatnot. But for the meantime, that's what's going on. Now, what the other side, the conservatives need to do is to have their own alternative platforms. Now, you see Parler is the #1 app, and the other one is a MeWe.
Yeah.
Or Remy, or whatever that
MeWe.
is. I don't have no social media and stuff. But
But you know what? I think
people, they realize, okay, you're censoring us, you don't want us to talk, you're making, difficult for people to express themselves. So we need to just build up a alternative.
But you know what that creates also? That creates also more division by doing that. And
I have no choice.
No, I understand. You have no choice because censorship plays a big role in propaganda because now you
That's
only
how Fox
now
News started, but now
right.
you're gonna have pepper spray
And
of shotgun blast of
and this is the
mini
problem.
Fox Newses. You
And
know
this
what
is
I'm
the
saying?
problem. This is how propaganda machine works. Is because now if you have opposite view of what the agenda is, what they're trying to push upon people, now you're gonna come and oppose that view. Guess what? If they silence you, and that's it. And you know what? You know what that means? Welcome to dictatorship. Welcome to dictatorship
But
because
there
that's
is a
what.
reason
But
for
this,
that.
no, I understand what the reason is. It's
No,
to gain power.
the reason is not
It's
just about people not being able to express themselves. Let me
no,
put it this way.
it's not about that.
20 years ago,
It's a higher
20
level.
years ago, 20
It goes
years
higher
ago,
level.
20 years ago, Nancy Pelosi was considered the nuttiest of the left-wing policies from San Francisco, okay? And now Nancy Pelosi is the
Moderate.
moderate queen of the Democrat Party. I mean, think about it. This is just a craziness.
Please.
It's just a madhouse, right? This is not about just is objective that you can see. 15, 20 years ago, Nancy Pelosi would be considered pretty much just sitting on the right hand of like a Mao. Like they're just almost, full comments. Now you have people that are actually openly promoting socialism and communism sitting in the positions within the Democrat Party. So they have gone just too far left, okay? And you can't say, oh, in order to do that, we have to be moderate. If they go into the extreme views, you have to stand your ground and push what you believe in and let's just, best man win, with your ideas. That's why they don't like persuasion. That's why they want to control the narrative. They don't like especially people with minority background and stuff like us to come and express. We are nobody's slave. We are free people. We haven't risked our lives to come over here and shut up now. You know
And
what
how
I'm
they
saying?
do it is, and
We are not.
how they do it is by playing with your emotions. Okay, it's by telling you, oh, we care about you. Oh, we're the party of the people. Oh,
It's not true.
we want
It's
to
not
we want
true.
to create equality. We want to create this. We want to. You know what? Equality exists. Okay, we had a segment about this already of title on the privilege, where I as an individual can create privileges for myself by working hard, by playing hard. I could create privileges for myself. You know what that? I'll give you a good example. Let's say I make $2 million a year. Okay, I could hire a chauffeur to drive me around anywhere I go. I just created a privilege for myself. Okay, I could go buy myself a car. I just created a privilege. I have the privilege to buy a car because I work hard. Because I went and did whatever it takes to make $1, to make $10, to make $20, to make $100, to make $1,000,000. Okay? No one's gonna take that away from me. No one can tell me, no, you cannot do this because you are from Iran. No, you cannot do this because you are from another country. Okay? That, my friends, doesn't happen. Okay? When I started working at age 17, actually I started working when I was 13 years old.
13 and a half.
No, I was 13 years old. I was working at a food market. Actually it was a farmer's market, sorry. I was working at a farmer's market. Woke up every morning at 4 a.m. and walked to the farmer's market, emptied trucks full of vegetables, fruit, whatever the hell you want to call it.
He ate most of it.
Okay? Half of it was missing. And I started working at age 13. Then I came to the States. I went to school. I finished school. I was working right before I graduated high school. I started working. You know why? Because I didn't want a handout from my dad. I didn't want pocket money from my dad. Because I saw my dad is working and I saw that we all started, life with struggle. We were struggling. We were poor. I grew up poor. I didn't grow up rich. So my dad was struggling. And I felt bad getting money from my dad. So what I do, I was like, you know what? I'll go work. I started working. And this is basically, what, 23 years now. I've been
And that's
working.
one of the main
I've been
things. It
working for
doesn't matter if you're
23
religious
years.
or not.
Has nothing to do with
Right.
religion. Had nothing to do with the
That's
color of
what
my
I'm saying
skin.
is,
I did not speak a word of English when I came to this country.
is most
A
people
word of
they're not-
English,
most
and my
people-
English still sucks. By the way,
Right.
I
That's
slur
true,
my
that's
words.
true.
It does. So you know what? I'm not gonna let anybody tailor my mind anymore, because that's what it was when I was
This
growing
is
up
it.
as a child.
This is it.
Okay, don't let anybody tailor your mind. Okay, do your own research. Be a free thinker. Don't base every decision you make on your feelings. That's what I don't do. I can't. I mean, again, I'm not instructing you to do anything. What I'm telling you is, making a decision based on feelings doesn't always give best results. If you make a decision because you are tempted, or whatever they put in front of you, the
It's good to
propaganda
have
machine,
passion. It's
it's good to have passion,
You're
but
passionate about things, but
I
you
tell
do
you
your own
something.
research. You do your own research.
ISIS had one of the best propaganda materials out there. One of the best, high definition. They had propaganda material in 4K. Imagine that, ISIS. And I had the unfortunate. I've seen some of the stuff on open source, and it's disgusting. But they use that material to basically manipulate people based on their feelings, and saying, hey, this is what's happening to our brothers and sisters. You need to come and fight. You need to come and fight with us to defeat the enemy. And that's how they did it. What they do, they use words, they use images, they use phrases to get you going inside. Basically, they're gonna boil up your feelings to a point that now you're radicalized. You are radicalized. You no longer believe in anything else that anybody's gonna tell you, because you're so radicalized that your mission is just to do whatever they
Every
were
system
told you.
and every ideology, every system has its own ideology and has basis, right? Now you need, in order to understand, okay, if you agree with it or not, you need to understand it. You can't just be on the surface. Let's say when I was in college, oh, democracy, Democrats, okay, that is very shallow. That is just ignorant,
Exactly.
right? And then when I did the research on Lincoln and all that, Civil War, I thought like a Civil War. I thought like Democrats were in a sense, like switched. I thought like a anti-slavery movement, right? Because the media perpetuates that, and that's actually the biggest lie, right? The biggest lie, because if you look at it, all minority groups, all major minority groups live under Democrat-controlled areas. Not for 5 years, not for 10 years, not for 2 cycles, for decades and decades, some of them for over 100 years. Now, within those same cities, there are areas that have been flourishing enormously, wealthy, ivory tower and all that. Let's say Chicago. You go downtown, I give an example because I'm familiar with it, and elsewhere. It's the same system. And then you go to Southside, for decades and decades and decades, have been just nothing but poverty, crime-ridden, murder, destruction of the family, and youth, and misery and suffering, nothing. And then they're just public housing, and then literally they're like a modern slavery. They get stuck there, they have no place to go. Okay, I give you $200, enough for you to eat, in a month, $250 for your groceries, but you can't go anywhere. No job opportunities, nothing like that. If you see a system like that, that's actually is anti-minority, and I'm not going to use, more inciting words, but that's actually intentionally or unintentionally. But I can't say it's unintentional because it's been going on for decades.
Exactly. They want the votes. They want the votes.
And no, they want the money, right?
The votes.
And the reason I'm saying it's not unintentional is because how long do you need if I'm living in a massive mansion and next door people living in a shack, and I claim to be taking care of them, right? And I'm advocating for them, and I'm getting money from the government to improve their lives. But for decade after decade after decade, not only I'm not improving their lives, but actually their condition is worsening now than it was, let's say, in 60s and 50s and 70s, right? That is intentional. So I don't want to hear that if somebody come and call, oh, Republicans racist. Yeah, but because we don't have a lot of minorities living in a Republican area. It's just mostly suburbs and rural areas, right?
Yep.
And the minorities that they live in Republican-held areas, rural areas, smaller cities, and all that, they are doing extremely well. They are successful, doing extremely well. Nobody's just messing with nobody. They are doing much, much better than the minorities living in inner cities.
Yep.
This is a proven fact. So if you're a minority, you want to improve your life, you got to move out of that area.
Stop listening to the propaganda.
Move
Stop.
out of area. That's all propaganda.
And that's the thing. They keep saying.
I was brainwashed too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we all were.
Because 24/7 they say, oh, racist, 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 this is that, this is that, this is that, and you start believing it. You think some boogeyman out of the swamp is in like a deep forest of Alabama or Mississippi is coming and disenfranchising somebody living in South Chicago? You would be out of your mind crazy.
Yeah, and that's what they do. This is what the propaganda machine does.
Oh, there's
basically all they do is they come up with talking points or keywords and it's inciting and it's interesting. If you do a YouTube research, you'll see people have made compilation of videos of the media saying the same exact word up to sentences. They're repeating the same thing. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 channels. I'm talking about like 10 or 15 channels saying the same things. They're using the same sound bites every single day, every single week.
Think about it, how powerful that it is. Let's say I've been living in this country for 20 years. I can claim to know more about U.S. history than most people even studied in history in this country.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that and I can debate with anybody in that level, right? So I know about family photos and stuff because you know, I'm interested. You know, I love to learn and all that stuff. I've had people that I went to the college, people that they've worked there for 30 years, and I'm not mentioning names or whatever where it was, but in Illinois, which is land of Lincoln, then literally the plates says land of Lincoln. They're proud to be land of Lincoln. Now somehow it's like more like land of Mao.
Yep.
Land of Lincoln. The person. Unfortunately, the friend, think about the propaganda that you are in college, in institution of higher learning, and you haven't noticed that Lincoln was Republican. I mean, can you imagine? It would be, let's say, if you are living in Virginia, not know that Thomas Jefferson or George Washington was from Virginia. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the problem, man.
Let's say you are in Charlottesville, you are in the University of Virginia, and you don't know Thomas Jefferson is from Virginia and author of the Constitution of, the Declaration of Independence.
It's a problem,
so
and that's
a problem.
A lot of kids these days don't know this stuff, man. It's not common knowledge anymore. This is no longer common knowledge. You know what common knowledge? You know what the common knowledge now is? TikTok. This is how they push the narrative. It's by TikTok. Is by getting people who have million viewership and they say, oh, you know, talk about this.
And that's the reason that we decided to start this, because we are having conversation. You know, when I started going to the college, they had the English class, for example. I thought it was English class for English as a second language, you know, foreign students and stuff. I was the only foreign students in that class. How the heck that you graduate supposedly from high school and you can't even have basic reading and writing to make it to the basic
you know why?
courses?
You know why? And I tell you why. I when I went to high school, I was the only Iranian in our class, and 99.9% were Hispanic, and the teacher was Hispanic. So the teacher spoke Spanish to those kids, and I was forced to speak English, right?
Right.
And you know what happened to those kids? The majority of them dropped out of high school.
Now the purpose of, I'm saying, like growing up, the purpose of propaganda is not necessarily prevent you from learning. They don't want you to have critical thinking skills. That's what it is. They want you to think what they want to direct you and follow that narrative.
In other words, they radicalize you. Okay,
in a sense, like brainwashing.
It's radicalization. It is a powerful tool.
They don't want you to challenge and question. Okay, how do I know the things that I know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know these things because I did research on my own and came to a conclusion independently of at least minimal other influences, or somebody else told me to hate this person, or hate this group, or do this and that. You
Which
know what
is
I'm saying?
which is
Once you start,
majority of the time that's the case. It's
that's a
basically
reversing process. You need to
that,
ask questions yourself. Okay, how do I know the things that I know? That's the first thing that I do.
yeah.
If I have some kind of like a preconceived notion of anything, I'm just going to say, okay, I think I know this. How do I know this?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this is what drives most people who become radical, is because they can't really think for themselves, and they don't, or either they just don't want to. They just want, they're so lost in their own identity that they want something to believe in, and they will, and this can take any way, this can go any way possible.
But I'm
Some people become like super religious, right? Some people, they start just reading history books. Some people, they just start reading satanic books. Some people just start reading the Bible or whatever. So propaganda can take many shapes and form. It's not just with politics, it's with everything else. And I hope this conversation can get you guys to realize that reassess your mindset, question. I mean, you are free to question anything that people ask you. Okay, you don't really need to agree with the message,
especially, I mean,
that
right
doesn't
now,
sit
all the
well with
censorship,
you.
with all the
Right.
censorship is
Exactly.
literally, I feel like going back in time,
Right.
where we came from. Why, if somebody is trying to prevent you, again, we said freedom of speech is not about expressing, is your right to listen, to be able to
Yeah.
hear and listen other people's point of view. If somebody is obstructing that, so you don't hear it, oh, the election is over, we don't want to just cover it, and then this is that, the
Yeah.
big media, big tech, and all that in coordination and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous route, and either we have to come up with people that they have opposing views with our own platform, which
Don't
we're
be
doing
afraid
here,
to have a conversation.
or just, because if you are, there's something that, I have a view and somebody's challenging me, I would love that. Anybody who wants to come and
Yeah,
debate, I would
and-
love that.
and
But
we
the
can't
moment
say
that you
we're-
come and say, and you can't say this, you can't say that,
Right.
even though that is reasonable, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not saying that we're
is,
always right. We're not
we
saying
object to that. We
yeah,
object to that strongly.
and we're not saying we're always right. We're not saying our point of view is always the
We
correct
wanna
point of view.
express without,
But we want to express it. We want to have actually challenging conversation with the opposite side to see why they think the way they think. And this is why we have this platform here, to basically discuss that.
Anybody who wants to challenge what we are saying,
we
we're more
welcome.
than happy to take questions.
We welcome
send your
everything.
comments.
We welcome
we disagree.
everything.
That's absolutely fine, and that's how we grow as a society.
Exactly.
But if you're
Agree
trying
to
to muffle
disagree.
people, then it's not going to
Yeah,
work.
we don't want to muffle you. We agree to disagree. I've done that a million times. I agree to disagree. I have really,
Except
really,
between us.
we just agree. Sometimes we don't. But I have really good friends that we have opposite views, but we're still good friends because, if we can carry a dialogue and we could still continue to be friends, because we're not gonna label each other as anything else because our views are different.
Honestly, I have myself lots of friends that they are hardcore liberal Democrats, majority of them. If we talk about issues, if we just talk about issues, most of the time we are very close in a common ground area, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left.
Yep.
But unfortunately, when we talk about the propagandists, they want to make people with extreme views, give the people with extreme views the loudest voice, and that obviously causes the other side to have their extreme. And now all you have is just a megaphone of two extreme from both sides
Radicalization.
doing that, and everybody in the middle are going to be impacted by that.
And they get
But
squished.
if individually you talk to people one on one, you realize, okay, we don't we share most of the things.
Yeah.
I mean, we disagree. It's like in a family, everybody disagree with each other. Nobody's agreeing on that.
We sit down when dinner shows up.
Yeah, we just exactly. But
Food
but
shows
that
up, we all be
difference is
quiet
not-
and we just eat.
That difference is not as significant.
Yep. All right, friends. That brings us to the end of our segment today. Thank you for
questions,
watching.
comments.
Send comments. Hit that bell button. Hit that subscribe. button, share the video with your friends, with your family. We love to have your comments down below.
Just getting warmed up.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. We love to please leave a comments, hit the like button, share the video. We love you guys.
People are asking for more content.
Do your research. Be a free thinker. That's what we want to be. Everybody, I think everyone should be a free thinker.
That's the beauty about this
Yeah,
country. We don't want
yeah.
to have censorship. We don't want to have
No
China.
censorship.
We don't want to need
Nobody,
we don't need
man.
those
Be yourself.
Social credit score.
Be yourself.
We don't need no muffling.
Make
nothing
yourself,
like that. God forbid, I can never live in a society like
Try
that.
your hardest to be the best that you can be in your life. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You are in control of your own life for the most part. But you know, when it's your
Thanksgiving, enjoy
yeah,
holidays and
when
all
it's your
that.
time, it's your time. But yeah, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones. May God bless you
Don't
guys.
isolate yourself with all the fear mongering.
Right. God bless you. God bless this country.
God bless America.
We love you guys.
Right there. Peace.